Hi, and welcome to Two Time Teachers.
This is our last stop, well, other than an overnight stop, on a month-long trip into the Ozarks and beyond. We added the beyond because we realized that parts of our trip were going to include things that weren't the Ozarks. And so we just want to kind of let you know what you're going to be seeing over the next month or so as we kind of go back and relive this trip for you.
Our first real stop, we spent a couple of nights on the road, but our first real stop was at Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge
in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
It's true animal sanctuary. They don't touch the animals unless they're sedated. The animals don't have to do
unless
anything.
The animals are sedated, not the people.
Yeah, that'd be a little strange.
But we had been there once before. We had planned to go to Eureka Springs just because it was kind of a place we wanted to go. And Mylena had done some research, found this place, and we went and stayed there. And I got to tell you, staying there is...
I feel like it makes the trip.
It really does. And I am almost positive I'm correct on this because we've done so much dispersed camping this year in Utah, New Mexico, and now this trip, a lot of national forest campgrounds.
But on this trip...
But I think, let me finish my thought because I'm old and I forget. I'm almost positive we paid more for one night at Turpentine Creek than we have for all of our other campsites combined for the year. But what's included with that is every access to everything that's there that you can do and access as much as you want.
Yes.
And so it's money well spent.
Yes.
It's an experience that you want to have. And by the way, the price we paid, because we had two pets, even though one of them wasn't touching a paw outside, there was a $30 pet deposit.
I believe that's right.
That we didn't get back. So the total was like $82. So we've camped pretty cheap this year.
It may have only been $15. I don't remember, but there was a pet deposit charge.
But anyway, Turpentine Creek, I gotta tell you, that is just an amazing place to visit. And if you ever get a chance to be anywhere in that area, well worth the stop.
We highly recommend it.
And we left there and went to Missouri. Now, sometimes people ask, how do you decide where you're going? Well, we knew we wanted to see some fall colors.
Yes.
And so we thought the Ozarks would be good. But since we were doing the Ozarks, we wanted to go on and, clip Eureka Springs and get another time in there. And then on our little map that we have in the bathroom here, we needed Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. So that kind of made a lot of the trip, and I'll go on spoiler alert, and then we wanted to drive the Natchez Trace from north to south. So that kind of filled in our trip for us. But in Missouri,
we stayed in the Mark Twain National Forest at Pinewood
Lake.
Yeah. It was gorgeous.
And free.
As an English teacher, I love staying at a place called Mark Twain.
And it was just 0.2 miles off of the little highway.
Yes.
Granted, yes, it was dry camping, but it was beautiful.
Yes,
it was free. And by the time we got there, we'd had 3 one-night stops. And so we needed a little bit of time to just kind of chill and rest. And that's what we did while we were there. And then we left there and went to the land of Lincoln, Illinois. And there we did just have some real downtime over the long weekend.
Yes, it was Columbus Day.
And we were there 4 nights at Redbud Campground in Pinewoods Recreation Area, part of Shawnee National Forest. And I would say one of the most unique things there was they did have potable water there. They had fresh water that you pumped.
Yes.
And it was fun. It was a unique experience, but I will tell you, we filled our 8 one-gallon jugs twice, and it loses some of its appeal by the time you pump it there. But they had some beautiful paths. Yes. It was full. I mean, that long weekend, it was full, and rightfully so. It's not on your route anywhere, really, unless you're just trying to fill in a state. But I think we paid with her pass, her senior discount. I think that one was $5 a night. Yeah. And so that was nice. We had a good time there. And leaving Land of Lincoln, we went to Lincoln's boyhood home, which is in Indiana.
And in Indiana,
we stayed at Saddle Lake Campground.
That's where we stayed.
In Shawnee National Forest. No, Hoosier National Forest. Sorry, we're getting to Shawnee. In Hoosier National Forest. And did some exploring while we were there.
And there are 11 arch abbeys in the world. 2 are in the U.S. and 1 is in St. Meinrad, Indiana, which wasn't far from where we were staying. So we went to see the arch abbey. Gorgeous construction. We roamed around there some. And then we went.
It was really an interesting place.
And then we went
to Santa Claus, Indiana. And their visitor tour, their information center, and the whole town. I mean, you may have guessed there's a theme.
And a theme park.
Yes. But their visitor thing had Lincoln on one side and Santa on the other. And I have a friend from Indiana. And I just said I didn't realize the two were such good buds. And she said, oh yeah, it's in all the Hoosier history books that she grew up there. Anyway, she said, just go to Lincoln's cabin. There's a chimney. You'll see. And so we did. We left Santa Claus and went to Lincoln's boyhood home. And they've done a really good job of, as you would expect in the National Park Service, of kind of creating an era-appropriate or replica of what the area would have looked like when he was there. They did have the well that Lincoln's family actually drew water from, and
it's been tapped.
Yeah, it's been tapped, and a foundation that they actually started. And his mother, someone's buried right there. Well, there are a lot of people buried right there.
His stepmother.
And so it was interesting and a good stop.
It was a wonderful stop. And there is a working farm there.
I did not realize they had animals and everything, and so by the time I'd already walked around a bunch, didn't get that done. But our stop at Saddle Lake Campground was cut a little bit short because we had texted a friend of ours keeping track of, where we're going, and she said, well, we made it to Ark Encounter. And we had actually...
That's in Kentucky.
In Kentucky, in Williamston, Kentucky. And that was a place we had talked about.
Williamstown, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That was a place we'd actually talked about as we were planning the trip, and somehow it just didn't make it on our list. So we got out the map and realized, hey, we're, 100 miles from there? Yeah. We've only paid $250 a night for the campground we were at. We will sacrifice our third night here. And go spend the night at a Cracker Barrel. And that was a great Cracker Barrel, by the way, at Dry Ridge. Indiana. No, Kentucky, sorry. And so we went over to there, went through the Ark Encounter, and watch our video.
The size of it is impressive.
And that was that's really something you have to kind of stand there and get the grasp of.
That a man and his 3 sons could build something.
The original, not the one in Kentucky. Yeah. But anyway, that was impressive to see, the overall size. And so since we were there, we decided, well, we've been in Land of Lincoln, we've been at the boyhood home, let's go to the birthplace. And so it was kind of par for the trip. It was raining when we got there. And still, that was somewhere we had been when we were kids. I was probably about 8 when we were there before. But it was neat to go back and to go and see. And left there, were able to drive across the Bluegrass Parkway.
Part of it.
Which was gorgeous. And went to Land Between the Lakes.
I have to tell you, that may be my favorite stop on this trip.
Well, it's just, I had, once again, kind of that, how do you decide? Well, one time when we were heading to Indiana, just because we'd driven across, and I kept seeing these signs. We'd driven across this
Kentucky about 15 times trying to find the road. But
we had gone across this lake, and then I see this thing. I'd seen signs for land between the lakes, and we'd driven several miles, and then I see another lake and more signs about land between the lakes, and I thought, what in the world is this? And so when we were getting ready to come, that was something that had stuck in my mind, and started doing a little bit of research. It is a huge national recreation area that's overseen by the National Forest Service.
Yes.
And just if you're unfamiliar, if you're coming anywhere in the area,
it's worth the stop.
It's huge, and multiple campgrounds. From north to south, it's approximately 35 miles. East and west, it's approximately 7 miles. And I wanted us to stay somewhere at a campground in the north and somewhere kind of in the south, central or south. And we did. We had a couple of campgrounds. But our favorite thing,
there was a bison and elk prairie. Now, if you've watched many of our videos, you know that we really like seeing bison, and Kentucky was not a place I expected to see them, but...
By the way, we did see bald eagle in Illinois.
Yes.
Didn't get any video of that, but it was interesting. Sorry. Wildlife. Squirrel.
We have looked to see elk in lots of places and never found it. There were elk, and we got bonus. October and November are when the elks mate, and the males they do what's called bugling or trumpeting. It's the most melodic.
Yeah, it was fascinating, and that prairie that's there for the elk and bison, it has a fee, and it's $5, which seems kind of steep. Or you can get...
Because you're not guaranteed you're going to see anything other than prairie grass.
But you can get 3 passes for $10 or 5 passes for $15. And so we opted to do that, and we went, I think, not the first night we got there, but every day after that.
5 times.
We went all 5 times. Either we set an alarm and we're there like at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Like we said, this is October, so it was good daybreak, or we stayed around 4:15 or so, because once you get in there you can drive that loop several times, and we drove it 3 times.
Yes.
A couple of times,
because we had heard the elk, and then we wanted to see if they were good, and we heard them again.
But land between the lakes, the camping options there, you can do everything from, when we talk about it in the video, but there's everything from, you get a pass and you go out. You have to pay for the pass, but you get out and you do dispersed on your own. We did the pay-as-you-go or self-pay campgrounds, which with her pass were just $5 a night. Or they have campgrounds that have full hookups, cabins, everything like that, where you make reservations ahead of time. So you're going to find something that you would like to do at Land Between, I would assume. And by the way, not that we did any good, but the Kentucky fishing license, a 7-day license, is just $35 for out of state.
And in the southern part, it's good for, at Land Between the lakes, if you're in the Tennessee part of the recreation area, it's the Kentucky license is good there, or if you have a Tennessee license, it's good in the Kentucky part and the southern half.
But anyway, it was fun, and that was an amazing stop. That was
gorgeous.
But then we came south and meandered through a bunch of little bitty roads and finally got to the terminus or starting point of the Natchez Trace. Spring of 19, we had driven from south to north, and we'd said at the time we'd like to come back. Everybody's been telling us wherever we've been, you're about 2 weeks too early for fall colors. That's another one of those things. It's going to be kind of you're taking your chances. October was when we had to come. Not that we had to come, but it's when we had and we wanted to come. And so...
But you got to remember, we're from Central Texas, and we're used to fall colors being green and then brown.
And so anyway, we have
We've seen orange and red and yellow, and it's gorgeous.
And at some places it's been full on,
yes,
just amazing and gorgeous. And other places, yeah, it's been more green, but it's been a beautiful trip, and we have enjoyed. We've stayed once again at the 3 free campgrounds on the Trace.
My best recommendation, if you come to the Natchez Trace, travel from the south to the north. It just gets better and better.
It really does. I'm glad we did it that way first.
Yes.
The campgrounds honestly get nicer.
Yes.
And the tree-lined drive gets
more hills and
the higher trees.
Yes.
And but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous.
Whichever way you come.
And as we started the trip, we were in a Walmart parking lot, and it looks like that's where we're going to be tomorrow night on our way home. So, like we said, we have had, and just one last thing here, we've had a lot of cloud cover, a lot of rain,
yes,
but it's still been an absolutely amazingly gorgeous trip.
I don't think either of us would have said we should have stayed at home.
No. But anyway, over the next several weeks, we will be sharing the videos that we've made at each of these stops, and so we hope maybe we've piqued your interest at least a little bit about some of them, and want more than just this thumbnail that you're getting here.
And one more thing, real quick. If you happen to see us when we're out camping or even stopped at a store, please introduce yourself. We've met some of the coolest people.
And I think we may have some stopping right now. So we're going to say thanks for watching
Two Tired Teachers.